Are you filming?
Yes.
Oh, this whole time? You have to tell me. I was in despair from the rain. I would like to go up there. We'll see if they let us do it. If they did let us do it, then the footage of that probably is gonna be me looking like an idiot. As an art historian, I am really interested in intersections of art and everyday life that can be explored a lot of different ways. But one of the ways I'm really interested in is things that we live with every day, things we might wear or use or are just surrounding us all of the time that are beautiful objects. And that's what this series is going to be about. It's going to be about exploring brilliant crafts and brilliant makers, particularly people who are doing rare and unusual things, and finding out more about those things and seeing as well how can we preserve these things that are at risk of maybe going away forever. So today we are in Oxfordshire at Waterperry Gardens, which is beautiful. The first artist we're going to be speaking to has his workshop here, which is like, how amazing is that? And he carved figureheads for ships, which is something that you don't really think about happening in the present day, like that there's a guy who does that, but there is a guy who does that full time here. And we're going to speak to him and his workshop and find out a bit more. This is Andy Peters. He was kind enough to let me come hang out with him in his workshop for a couple of hours, and he showed me this absolutely massive figurehead of Zeus that he's been working on.
So this is off a British warship from about 1850.
This is the original piece?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the original woodcarver's drawing for it. It's by a chap called Frederick Hellier. The Helliers were a famous family of woodcarvers for the Navy. There were 7 generations of them carved for the British Navy. So Frederick was the last, and this is one of his figures.
I notice he doesn't have an arm over here anymore.
No.
Did he not have an arm when he came to you?
I've got the arm,
Okay.
but just so I can get round him, I've taken it off for now.
Right. To what extent do you have to completely remove parts and replace them? Or
the central core of him is totally rotted out, so it's virtually hollow. So you can see, if you look round the back, you'll see that there's nothing left in him at the back.
So you've added on these
Yeah.
other laminated.
Yeah. If you look at this one, it's never one piece. There never were one piece. So if you can see that this is 8 pieces that are laminated together. So that gives it strength and stability.
Are there many people who do what you do, actually?
No.
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 How many, for example, in the UK are doing this?
Just me.
Just you. Wow.
As a full-time professional, yeah.
Right. Andy's sculptures are beautiful, but he reminds me they also have to stand up to the elements and complement the design of a ship.
You'll often be given a drawing of the boat, and from the drawing, at each step, you can create what's happening at each step on the front of the boat. First of all, you've got to create a figurehead which is going to fit that shape. And so if you look at that, the figurehead takes a lot into the shape of the ship.
Yeah. So you sketch as well.
Yes, yeah.
Is that necessary? You
Yeah.
have to be able to sketch in order to be able to do the rest.
So this one, I did a drawing that size, made the maquette, and if you go next door, it's then scaled up to the full size. So on here, these are the laminates actually scaled down. They would be scaled up to a 2-inch plank when it gets to that size.
This is a lot of patience to make a beautiful maquette, and then that's not even the final result.
No.
I don't think I have the patience to do it.
It can save a lot of work in the long run if you have a little model, because if it's to scale, if you take the measurement there, you set it to the scale, so that's the scaled up the other end.
To carve something like this, do you ever have to take a chainsaw to it? Or
No.
How are you getting into?
It's all traditionally carved with hand tools.
Okay.
Exactly as original would have been carved. So I've got about 200 chisels, I think. Often the shapes are replicated, but in a different scale. So obviously you need larger chisels for something this size, going down to really intricate ones for the small maquettes. I tend to try and get old chisels if I can. particularly as I'm trying to replicate old work. Traditionally, it's always frowned upon to sand
Is it?
carving. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you
Yeah.
have to get it smooth just by chiseling?
Yeah.
So you're not going to sand Zeus?
No.
So then how,
No.
because his arm and chest, that's from the completed area is quite smooth. So how in the world? How do you do that?
Just the way you work with tools, really. So when you want to get to the point where you smooth down, you don't, rather than using the mallet, you can almost just cut it like that, so that you're taking very fine pieces off to smooth down. And then
so you're also constantly sharpening your tools.
Yeah. I've always sailed on tall ships, had boats of my own, which traditionally would have had carving, so started working on those, and it's just grown from there, really.
What do you think will happen as a future of this art form? Do you think it's going to slowly kind of die down over time? Do you think there'll be an active push to find more people to train in this?
I'm going to America later in the year, where we're actually going to talk about this. There's a museum called Mystic Seaport, and we're going to have a symposium on how you keep these traditional crafts alive. And it's no good training someone if there is no job at the end of it. So for my work, why aren't people interested in sailing traditional ships? It's on the decline. So you've got to approach it from that end, really.
It was a treat to get to speak with Andy, and after seeing the beautiful pieces in his workshop, next I wanted to see one in context on a ship. I am sitting underneath an actual ship, which I can't say I've done before. It's not just any ship, it's the Cutty Sark in Greenwich, London. And today we're going to find out more about the history of this ship. And we're also going to check out this collection of figureheads behind me. It's called the Long John Silver Collection, possibly one of the biggest collections of figureheads in the world. And also we're going to check out Nanny, which is the witchy figurehead on this ship that Andy helped to create a replica for. So lots to uncover. I'm here with Louise Macfarlane, who is curator of the Cutty Sark, which is technically an object in the museum's collection, right?
It is. It's the largest object we have in the museum's collection.
Maybe like contending for in any museum's collection.
I think so.
I'd love to find out a bit more about the story of this ship, and then we can check out the figurehead.
Well, Cutty Sark was built in 1869 in Dumbarton in Scotland, and it was built exclusively for the China tea trade. So its whole job was to get out to China, bring tea back to London as quickly as possible.
Oh, wow. I guess it would be good to know a little bit about the name of the Cutty Sark, because that relates to Nanny, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Cutty Sark comes from Robert Burns' poem, Tam O'Shanter. And in the poem, it's all about Tam, who's a farmer. He's got drunk and he's going back home after market, and he encounters a coven of witches, as you do. All of the witches are sort of scary, old, ugly hags, apart from one who is a young and very attractive witch called Nanny. And now Nanny happens to be wearing a short and revealing nightdress, or in Old Scots, a Cutty Sark. In Tam's excitement, he exclaims, "Weel done, Cutty Sark," and therefore reveals that he's been watching them. The witches are none too pleased, so they give chase. Before I started in this job, I didn't know this, but witches can't cross running water, so Tam knows that if he can get
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
It's a standard fact, isn't it? How do they not know that? But yeah, so he heads to this running water, and he manages to cross over, but Nanny has just about managed to catch the tail of the horse and rip it from the horses behind.
There's another Nanny, which is the one that Andy worked on up there. So. How many nannies are there?
Yeah, right. So when Cutty Sark found a permanent home in Greenwich in 1954, and this dry dock was especially built for the ship, a replacement nanny was carved and sat on the ship until Andy Peters did the new nanny that's on there today.
Yes.
So we have that third nanny is currently in storage.
One of the things that struck me on seeing the collection is how colorful they are. Obviously, taking them all in at once makes it that much more colorful.
Yes, yeah. That's an interesting point, because a lot of the figureheads, they change colour over time. Because of course, the ships have many different owners, so they could be repainted. And like I said, there could be different parts added. Clipper ships like Cutty Sark tended, not 100%, but they tended to have just white figureheads. Smaller merchant ships that were tending to go around the coastal waters of the UK, they would be colourful, and so would Royal Navy ships.
There's a lot of sailing superstition, I know. Not that I know that much about sailing, but I know that much. And so do the figureheads play into that at all? Or?
Yeah, they do, definitely. Sailing at sea was and is a really dangerous and sort of pretty scary, terrifying prospect. And so, like you say, there was a lot of superstition around that, anything that people could do to kind of help to protect themselves. So a lot of the figureheads are mythological or classical figures that can kind of try and protect their charges against the sea. There is a theory that the female figures with their breasts shown, that their bare breasts would calm the ocean.
Imagine being that powerful. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had no plans of taking on any oceans that day, but I did get to have a different kind of adventure. Before I left the ship, the amazing team at the Cutty Sark rig climb gave me the opportunity to climb the rope ladders, and it was quite the experience.
All right.
Actually, no.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no, it should be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You can still move your legs.
It's not uncomfortable, it's just like my trousers are like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait till you're on the way down.
Okay, great.
I'm safe in a harness here, but sailors did this with no safety gear and on top of moving waves.
It's nice and solid.
Onto the...
Yeah. Once you step up on there, what do you think? It's quite solid on here, isn't it?
I'm stressed.
You're stressed. It gets easier and easier. You're doing good.
Oh my God.
The team were so encouraging, literally encouraging me to take every next step. It's actually great once you get up there. The view is great. I'm glad I did it, but it was a challenge.
You're about to touch down. Okay, elegantly done.
And with that fantastic dismount, I reached the end of this little exploration of figurehead carving.
I am currently being swept by the wind and mist on a ship, very accurate to real sea life, I'm sure. It's been fun, it's been real to see not only the figureheads, but them in context of a ship. I mean, this is pretty cool. Stay with me as I continue to do more of these and we learn about more crafts. So cool to talk to Louise and Andy, so thank you to them as well. Subscribe, all of that stuff, and yeah, see you next time. I'm gonna go do some ship work or something. Whatever people do on ships. Oh, I just noticed the dolphin. Cute.